Presenting the panel station. Alright, so this is my plan for converting my stacks of pallet wood into usable material. My plan is to make panels that are roughly 30 centimeters wide and 30 mil thick with whatever length material I have. I should be able to make with this setup 2 a day and turn the scrappy pallet wood into useful material that's already pretty flat straight out of the jig. So okay, is that approval or? When you're selecting the raw materials for your strips, there's not really any rules. All this stuff is fine. The point is to try to use up all of the ratty bits, get as much as you can out of it. The only kind of guideline I use is I try to use parts that are all about the same length, but yeah, apart from that, go for it. Use up all of the material you can. Turn it into something useful. Isn't that right, Potty? Hey, what do you think? Yeah? Whenever I work with pallet wood, the first thing I want to do is give it a belt sand. I mean, it's not the first thing, obviously, after all the nails have been pulled out and so forth. And it's not, I'm not trying to make it super smooth. I'm just trying to knock down the really high spots and look for any nails and gravel and rubbish that I might have missed. This is my dad's old belt sander. It's a real beast of a thing, great. And about an 80 grit paper. But again, that doesn't really matter. We're really just looking for nails and stuff. There's a good example of what I'm looking for. So a lot of the pallets I work with have little rocks embedded in them. And yeah, table saw doesn't love rocks. Even just that really quick run with the belt sander makes a big difference. You can stack them now, you know, that this surface it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was, and they're now ready for jointing. So just a step that I think I didn't used to do, but I think it's really worth it. Next cab off the rank is edge jointing. I feel I've showed this a lot of times, but I just want to go through the setup here. Again, this step works really well with the featherboard because the distance between the fence and the blade is always the same. So you set it up with the jig next to the fence and the edge nice and close to the blade but not quite touching, and then the featherboard just set there to keep it snug against the fence as you're running it through. With that all set up, you just clamp your board in. In this case, I'm putting the better edge on the outside. It's got a couple of little nicks on it, so that should come off, and that should come off. And then when we're cutting our strips, we'll go 30 mil in that way until we run into that or that, and that'll be scrap. But yeah, so that board's just hanging over the edge of the jig a tiny bit, and that's the bit that will get taken off. So we'll cut that now. So there's the result of that process. Got a stack of boards with one nice edge. This big one here, I had to cut at a fairly steep angle to try to get something decent out of it. We should get a couple slices. So these are ready to be chopped up. Next job is to turn these guys into 30mm strips. So all we do there is set the fence up. At 30mm. Rip away. That's the result of that step, and that's probably step 3. So here we have our stack of 30mm strips. They're each exactly 30mm on this edge. The next step is to deal with the gluing sides. So this side and this side. This one is particularly bad because the board has that big ridge in it. But all we're going to do is run it through the table saw and clean that up. This setup really lends itself to using a featherboard. The fence moves back and forth depending on the thickness of the piece, but this face is always just on the edge of the blade. 30mm high between there and there, and this face and this face are cleaned up, ready for gluing. Right, so that process is all done. As I've brought them over to the bench off the table saw, I've laid them out with the best face on top. So this side is the best face you can get. For the top to be as nice as possible, and I want to choose some thicker bits for the edges. Apart from that, just kind of make it even. So yeah, we end up with nice panels. There we are. I'm pretty happy with that. The tops are all pretty clean. This one here's obviously got a big knot, but the other side's worse. So knot it is. A bit of filler, and that'll be cool. So yeah, ready for gluing. Step 6, everyone's favourite, is to glue all the strips together. So let's get into it. I think that's about as good as you're going to get with pallet wood as far as flatness goes. Zoom right in there, you can see that by adding the coils and tightening them up nice and early in the process, you get a pretty flat situation, and that's what we're going for. Bit of a close-up right out of clamps. So that's in pretty good nick on that side. And looks like we've got quite a lot of the clamp left on the back side, but that'll come off. So we've got to get rid of things like that big lump there. So yeah, we'll move on to using the planes to do that. To get rid of those big lumps of glue and have a first crack at flattening these out a bit more, I use these three tools. So my bashing chisel to get off big chunks like that. Nice little hand plane. Gets the bulk of the work done. That's a number 4. And I use that one specifically because that's the only one I have. And then this little guy comes in handy for stuff that I miss with the big plane. To be honest, the bottom of this one wasn't great, so I had to move on to the power, and that's tidied it up fairly well, but it has made a bit of a mess of the surface. Alright, step 8, we'll hit it with the belt sander to get rid of the rest of the glue, make it nice and smooth, ready for the next step. So after a quick hit with some 80 grit sandpaper on the belt sander, this is where we're at. So it's pretty darn good. So to improve it from there, we can run it through the planer. So yeah, I guess that depends on what the next job is, and what you might use these panels for, as to whether you need to plane them or not. I'm going to include planing for this one, so we get a nice end to end. Alright, ready for the 9th and final step. We're going to whack this through the planer. I've never done a piece of wood this large on this planer before, so let's see how we go. After roughly 800 passes on my poor little planer thicknesser, this is where I've ended up. This is the back side, the rough side. You can see this spot here hasn't quite cleaned up, but the good side is cleaned up all over the surface, so I know that's pretty flat. Okay, that's going to be it for this video. I've got the system worked out fairly well now. The 10-step process with the flattening jig, with the cauls to make sure they start off fairly flat. You've got the beams along the outside to keep the pressure even. Cut 30mm, cleaned up on the sides. You end up with pretty good panels right out of the jig. A bit of sanding, a bit of hand planing, run them through the thicknesser, and you end up with what I'm going to call a perfect laminated panel. So very, very happy with the result, and we'll keep building them up until I have enough material to make the next project. So yeah, give us a like and subscribe if you'd like to see what happens next. Okay, is that approval or? Anyway, we're going to say Potty likes it.